Karen accused vendor of no permit, then stole their products. The market buzzed with life, but Karen's voice sliced through the chatter like a knife through butter. "You're breaking the law," she shrieked, her manicured finger wagging at Maria, a young vendor whose fruit stall was a kaleidoscope of oranges, apples, and greens. "No permit, no business, pack it up, or I'm calling the cops." Maria, barely 20, froze behind her stall. Her hands trembled as she clutched a basket of apples, her livelihood teetering under Karen's venomous glare. The market, a vibrant hub in the heart of the small town of Willow Creek, was Maria's sanctuary, a place where she'd spent years building trust with locals, selling produce grown on her family's modest farm. But Karen, a newcomer with a penchant for control, had stormed in like a tornado, determined to make her mark. Karen's accusations weren't new to the market. She'd moved to Willow Creek 6 months ago, her pristine SUV and designer sunglasses screaming outside her. She'd already complained about the bakery's overpriced bread and the florist's tacky arrangements. But today, her target was Maria. "I checked the regulations," Karen continued, her voice loud enough to draw a crowd. "No permit means you're stealing from honest vendors. You're done here." Her words were sharp, each one landing like a blow. Maria's cheeks flushed, but she held her ground. "I have a permit," she said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "It's filed with the town hall. You can check." She reached for a folder under the counter, but Karen swatted it away, sending papers fluttering to the ground. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Maria's eyes widened, her heart pounding as she knelt to gather the scattered documents. "Don't lie to me," Karen snapped, stepping closer. "I know your type, sneaking around, cutting corners. You think you can fool us?" She turned to the growing crowd, her arms outstretched like a performer on a stage. "This is our market, and we don't tolerate cheats." A few nodded hesitantly, but most exchanged uneasy glances. Maria wasn't just a vendor. She was the girl who'd given free apples to kids, who'd stayed late to help elderly customers carry their bags. As Karen ranted, a man in a faded flannel shirt pushed through the crowd. It was Tom, a retired mechanic who'd known Maria's family for decades. "Karen, you're out of line," he said, his voice gruff but calm. "Maria's permit is legit. I helped her file it myself." The crowd murmured in agreement, but Karen's eyes narrowed. "You're in on it too." "Huh," she sneered. "Defending your little friend. This town's full of enablers." Tom's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. Maria, still kneeling, clutched her papers, her eyes burning with unshed tears. The market, once a place of warmth, now felt like a battlefield. Karen's accusations escalated over the next hour. She demanded Maria shut down her stall, claiming it was a health hazard and unfair competition. She even pulled out her phone, filming Maria's every move, narrating like a tabloid reporter. "Look at this mess, no standards. No respect," she said, zooming in on a crate of slightly bruised apples. Maria tried to explain those apples were discounted for low-income families, but Karen wasn't listening. She was too busy playing judge and jury. The tension thickened as Karen's words drew a bigger crowd. Some whispered support for Maria, but others, swayed by Karen's confidence, began to question. "Maybe she doesn't have a permit," one woman muttered. "Karen's got a point. Rules are rules." Maria's heart sank. She'd worked so hard to build this business, pouring every penny into it after her father's illness drained their savings. Now, it was unraveling because of one woman's vendetta. Then came the twist no one saw coming. As Karen continued her tirade, a teenage boy, Jake, slipped through the crowd, his backpack slung over one shoulder. He was Maria's cousin, a quiet kid who helped at the stall after school. "Hey, Karen," he called, his voice cutting through the noise. All eyes turned to him. "You're so worried about permits. But what about this?" He held up his phone, showing a photo of Karen's SUV parked across two handicapped spaces outside the market. The crowd gasped, and Karen's face paled. "That's not the point," she stammered. But Jake wasn't done. "And this," he said, swiping to a video. It showed Karen, just yesterday, slipping a handful of Maria's tomatoes into her bag without paying. The crowd erupted in murmurs. "You're calling her a thief," Jake said, his voice shaking with anger. Look in the mirror. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Karen's smug facade cracked as the crowd's mood shifted. "That's not true," she shouted, but the evidence was damning. Maria, still clutching her papers, stood up, her voice steady now. "You've been taking my produce for weeks. Karen, I didn't say anything because I thought you'd stop. But this is too far." The market was a powder keg, and Karen's next move lit the fuse. Enraged by Jake's accusation, she lunged forward, knocking over Maria's stall in a fit of fury. Crates crashed to the ground, apples rolled into the dirt, and a basket of strawberries splattered across the pavement. The crowd gasped, and Maria's eyes filled with tears as she stared at the wreckage of her livelihood. Karen, panting, pointed at the mess. "See, this is what happens when you don't follow the rules." That was the breaking point. The crowd, once divided, now turned on Karen. "You're the one breaking rules," shouted Mrs. Henderson, a regular who'd bought Maria's peaches for years. "You destroyed her stall." Others chimed in, their voices a chorus of outrage. Tom stepped forward, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling the market manager. This ends now." The manager, a no-nonsense woman named Clara, arrived within minutes. She surveyed the scene, the shattered crates, the scattered produce, and Karen standing defiantly amidst the chaos. "Maria's permit is valid," Clara said, holding up a copy from the town hall. "Karen, you've caused enough trouble. Leave, or I'll call the police." Karen's face twisted in disbelief. "You're siding with her. I'm protecting this market." But Clara wasn't swayed. "You stole from her, harassed her, and destroyed her property. You're done here." The crowd cheered, a wave of relief washing over them. Maria, still shaken, began picking up the broken pieces of her stall, helped by Jake and Mrs. Henderson. But the story didn't end there. As Karen stormed off, vowing to sue the whole town, the market rallied around Maria. Customers bought out her remaining stock, some paying double to help her recover. Tom organized a cleanup crew, and by dusk, the stall was back in order, stronger than before. Clara even offered Maria a prime spot at the next market, free of charge. Karen's downfall didn't stop at the market. Word spread fast in Willow Creek, and by the next day, her SUV was gone from the handicapped spaces towed after complaints to the town. Posts on the local X page exposed her behavior, with Jake's video going viral among the townsfolk. Karen became a cautionary tale, her name synonymous with entitlement. Some said she left town, too embarrassed to show her face. Others claimed she was still lurking, plotting her next move. But no one cared to find out. Maria, meanwhile, thrived. Her stall became a symbol of resilience, drawing new customers who admired her grit. She even started a small fund to help other young vendors get their permits, ensuring no one else would face what she did. The market, once shaken, grew stronger, its community tighter than ever. As the sun set on Willow Creek, Maria stood behind her rebuilt stall, a quiet smile on her face. She'd faced the storm and come out stronger. But the question lingered: what drives someone like Karen to tear others down? Was it jealousy, insecurity, or just a need for control? Share your thoughts. What's the line between standing up for rules and crossing into cruelty?